Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Agree to Disagree show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed. Today is Wednesday, April the 19th, 2023. We are joined with Blake, the eccentric Walley. Yes, I brought out the old school nickname, like one of those retro basketball jerseys, Blake. In honor of the playoffs, I went with a retro nickname, like a retro jersey for like good merchandising sales. What'd you think of that? Did it feel
Oh,
good hearing Blake, the
fantastic.
eccentric again?
Made my day. Yeah. I was hoping
Yes.
somebody would say that.
Blake has been covering media. I believe you've called yourself an independent gonzo journalist. Would that
Yes.
still be an accurate description of?
Sure would, Brian. Yes, because I make myself part of the news cycle. All right.
Yes, we do kind of, but you really did. I mean, to the people that don't know, go back to Blake's early work. He was a part of the news cycle. He filmed some shenanigans, as he also did at the 2016 RNC. Like, just there are shenanigans that will abound in daily life, and some people go to the places where things are happening and document it. So, yes, I guess you are kind of a participant in the news, but you didn't do that. They did that. You just happened to catch it and get it on camera. And so
Well,
more people
I
can see
never
what you
wanted to
saw.
be a journalist, but, watching the news lie to me for so many years, I finally decided I was going to get in and have to do it myself. So here I am.
So what
What's the stories we got today, Brian? What do we got in the an exciting April 19th news day?
Blake wants to move super fast into the stories, which is admirable. I appreciate it. The very first story that we're going to get to is the Restrict Act. I just want to put it on everybody's radar, and for anyone in the chat room, for anybody in the comments, can you leave just a couple of notes on the latest? What is the latest? Who's pushing back on it the best? Where have um, the letters to the editor? Where have they been the strongest? Who are the voices that are, list a couple of names for us to check out, to follow on Twitter or connect with on YouTube or Rumble, wherever everybody happens to be. Who are the smartest people discussing the Restrict Act? Because, you know, I found it to be very interesting when every single member of Congress voted for this unanimously. And you went, wow, everybody was unanimous. Now, once it's coming together, you're seeing some atrocious components that maybe weren't a part of what was generically agreed to in the beginning, but you see where some people are headed on this, and it really would be the end of independent media and journalism. So I find it to be the most important story in the world right now, and I'm asking for your guidance, you the viewers, to help us connect with the smartest people. And who knows, maybe I'll reach out to some of these people and bring them on as a guest to kind of discuss where are we, who, you know what we can do to try to make sure something like this doesn't happen. We've done it with CISA. Blake, over the years, you recall, there's been a lot of different pushes, be it the Patriot Act or many different areas where they've tried to really clamp down and restrict our First Amendment. I guess in general, any thoughts on that topic where you've seen it progress during this time that you didn't want to become a journalist, you became one, and now you've seen the trajectory of where we're headed? Like, as far as First Amendment intrusions, what do you have to kind of enlighten us on as far as where you think we're headed, and will it be stopped? Is there any hope? Like, just guide us. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, they've been trying to push back for a long time. They came out with YouTube and Facebook and MySpace, all these different things that let the people kind of drive their own news. And after a few years, the establishment didn't like that. They didn't like them contradicting the mainstream media narratives, and they started fighting back with all kinds of different policies. Yeah, you could go back to the Patriot Act, but that was kind of before social media. But that continues, especially through the Obama administration. I forget them, like, PIPA and ACTA. There's a few different names, but
CISA.
CISA. Yeah. So now, yeah, they've come out with this new one, the Restrict Act, and it's in it's under the guise of, oh, it's going to be great because we're going to get rid of TikTok. We got the Chinese Communist Party perhaps manipulating data, spying on Americans,
You know what that
and
reminds me of?
dumbing down our kids. What's that?
You know what that reminds me of in a way? Do you remember that sign that's on the desk of Dr. Ron Paul? I believe it's on the desk of Dr. Ron Paul.
Yeah, it says don't steal. The government hates competition. All right.
Nailed it. My boy Blake nailed it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, we got to be really careful about TikTok because they're starting to do what we're doing. And it's like, how about none of you do what you're doing, you creepy data thieves? It's just they hate competition. We're already stealing this. So, the whole thing's absurd on one level. On another level, I think when you control the access to rage bait, I think there's something about an organic algorithm versus an astroturf algorithm that can cause riots in the streets and our country to burn down under pseudo coordinated terrorist attacks. We saw it all through 2020. We're starting to see all sorts of craziness across the cities, Blake, right now. I mean, geez, it's just there's a lot of important stuff going on. Let me just wrap it up with this. There's a lot of important things that are happening right now, and I think the Restrict Act, it is about the algorithm in the. I'll wrap it on the algorithm thought, because if you have access to all the rage bait in the algorithm, then what you're able to do is really control the zeitgeist of the people, and you can get them to pick maybe false enemies for political gain, geopolitical gain, for monetary gain, for coercion and threats. I mean, like there's been a lot of interesting stuff happening as far as there were several Facebook articles that were written about how they had intentionally been taking the algorithms for rage to get people angry. That, like, there's ways you could give them happy, and you show them happy stuff in their news feed. But if you only show them things that will make them angry, it changes them. Like it's abusive. It's abuse. It's psychological abuse. And so if you want China to have access to your nation's brains to abuse them psychologically, okay, cool. Then yeah, it's no big deal. But then again, they're also competing with them by doing the same exact thing with Facebook. So, like, when Elon called for this pause in artificial intelligence, maybe this is what he's talking about, because it's all kind of coming together right now. It's all coming to a head. Could you see that
Yeah,
point, Blake?
there's big changes, and actually, there's a couple stories about that. But one, I hate Facebook. I don't know why anybody uses that crap. And yeah, the feeds are annoying. You have no idea how they control the algorithm to see what's going to be on your news feed. So I use Twitter, and I use lists. I don't care what it says or suggests or any of that BS. I find the people I like their news feeds, and I put them on lists. And I have, like, the allies, I have the hacks, flacks, and lackeys. I'm always interested in different sides, because a lot of people bitch, oh, I get to see this in my news feed. Well, then make a list and then put all the people you want on it there. I don't know why people are so offended by seeing things that they disagree with. I'm actually just as interested in seeing what my political enemies think than the people that are on my side. So I kind of split my time in those groups. So, but that's what I like about Twitter, is that it's organized that way. So I'm not at the mercy of whatever Facebook algorithm they decide to, which friends are going to be at the top of my list or not. It's not fair. I don't go on there any more than I absolutely have to.
And by the way, for context there, if you are listening to this on the podcast for the Agree to Disagree show, you can definitely know that Blake, when said political enemies, he did the air quotes. It adds such a peaceful context. It's very important. That's the stuff you can only get when you're watching us live on Restream. Usually we do this twice a week. It's usually Tuesday, Thursday, but we're going to be here when we're here. We're always going to be here in between. But we try to consistently go live at the same regular times. But yeah, lists. I haven't really used those, Blake. You're saying I'm missing out unless I have it put together.
How would you know who to follow? You're at the mercy of whatever the algorithm shows you.
Yeah, that's just kind of.
I want a
that's all I do.
chronological order, right, of when people put stuff out. So if Brian is on my list and you write something at 3:21 p.m., then it's going to be there at that same time. So all the news feed is going to be in purely chronological order. Sometimes when I go on the home page, then yeah, I see, random stuff. It could be several hours ago or whenever. It jumps around, but I don't like that. So
Are you able to do a screenshot? Are you logged into Facebook on your side?
not on Facebook. No, I'm on Twitter, baby.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I hate
I meant.
Facebook. I don't know why you like it so much.
I know.
You spent so much time like building things on there that can just be erased at any minute. It's totally unfair. Twitter has its own issues. I think I'm still kind of shadow banned to some extent, but at least it's easy for me to navigate through the news. There's nothing more efficient. There's no better way to find breaking news than Twitter.
See, I would find it interesting for you to share your screen logged into Twitter to kind of watch you scroll through the lists and show us like how your experience is. Because for me, I really just go on Twitter and I scroll. Like maybe if there's an issue that I will run specific searches based on a topic I'm curious on, getting a wide variety of opinions on, so I could figure out what makes sense to me. But yeah, I don't really use lists very much. But the word lists is a tough one. Lists.
Okay, well, let's see if I can pull this up real quick because we got a busy news day and we got a lot of stuff to cover here. But let me get on the
but no, in this
here.
in the the look in.
Okay, so take a look at this. We see this here?
It's like go ahead. I'll finish my thought later. Go ahead.
Okay, so really the only two I start out with so many people. And then when my list gets too full and I've got too much stuff, then I kind of separate them into different categories. So primarily the ones I use are this Q&A one I have here. That's for people that are kind of on my side. It's got 303 people that I follow. And then I've got my so-called political enemies list, the hacks, flacks, and lackeys. I've got 230 members. I probably did have 300, but I'm sure probably 70 have blocked me, because sometimes I have to call them out. So here's my Q&A list, and Brian, you're on it, but these are all chronological order. So unless they're the retweets or something, then maybe they won't be. Well, like as you can see right here, Nuance Bro I follow is what's a 1 minute ago, 3 minutes ago for DC Drano. They all go in that chronological order here. Here's our buddy Ford Fisher. And so that's how it works. So I just scroll down here and I get everything in real time as soon as it comes out. Now we go to my enemies list. It's the same thing. Or perceived enemies. Sometimes I don't even hate these guys when they talk about, normal things. They want to talk about, music or sports or something. They're not awful people necessarily, but when they go political, then they drive me crazy. So you probably recognize some of these people that are on these lists. And yeah, it's just interesting for me to get different perspective on different people. Now here's John Fugelsang, who I like to some extent, but his political views are pretty awful. And I kind of keep an eye because I want to know what some of these people are thinking and then what kind of points they put out. Again, it's all in chronological order. So it's all in real time. And that's how I keep track of things on my news feed. Nice and efficient and orderly.
Yeah, but you're right. You're very right. Twitter is at least a non-hostile, middle of the road aggregation location. The others are they're openly hostile to reality. And like, how can we keep voting to give them our energy, our time, our eyeballs? I've been so happy. I've spent 12 years building the New American Media on YouTube, 13 years, however long it's been now. And it's so fickle. I built a house on quicksand. So, even though Rumble and the podcast and, the different locations the New American Media has been putting our content out on, our original content, at least these are bricks that I feel are being placed in a proper foundation. And these are things that can be, this is the new beginning, because it just reached a point, Blake, like you said, like Facebook, they're openly hostile. So like we cannot hope for that to be the number one place for us to connect with humans. So, it feels good. It feels good to have other options, but the Restrict Act is something that is really awful. We want to keep our eye on. Two other stories I'm going to skim over. Any updates on the Trump indictment? I haven't heard anything. Blake, you haven't heard anything, right?
No, not recently. No,
Okay.
it's delayed. It's going to be till like November or December, if they don't get it thrown out of court.
And the secondary update, therefore, is there an update on Washington and Georgia filing indictments? Because we're hearing that there are two more coming down the road real quick. The final story that I just want to keep an update on, what is the Biden impeachment update, Blake? Where are we at? He's proven over 2 years that he should be impeached. Has anyone even filed the articles?
No, not officially. There's a big House investigation right now. There's something I just posted on Twitter a while ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene and one of the committees, they're digging through. They're finding stuff, from Hunter's laptop and the whole association that the Biden family is involved with foreign countries and business dealings that they'd rather not have known to the public. And that's going to be 1,000 times more explosive than anything that you're going to find with, Alvin Bragg trying to go after Donald Trump. So that should be interesting, but that could drag out for a while too. So nothing imminent yet.
Gotcha. All right, let's jump into the topics.
All right.
That one was a little loud. Okay. I like it. I do.
All right.
I'm just trying to have the normalized balance of the sound. Hey, Blake, would you agree or disagree here? By the way, we didn't even do the intro. I kind of went past the intro and I was reminiscing about how you didn't want to be a journalist. And you're like, come on, let's get to the news. And I never did the intro, so I guess no intro today.
It's all good. Yeah.
So would you agree or disagree, Blake, that Washington State should take kids from parents that refuse trans surgeries? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's the most horrible thing that they've come up with. I'm shocked, but this is actually one-upped. So, but they've actually passed this stuff. I don't know. They consider themselves progressives, and in fact, there's supposed to be a protest, I believe, tomorrow. Something in Washington State where actually the Republicans are going to be. Or right wing, or maybe common sense Americans, people are, concerned parents are going to be out pushing back on this, and it's amazing that they're going for it. So there's a few of these stories that are going to be tying together as far as these trans issues.
Forgive me, I
That's all right.
I had a dump button, but I was in a command with my right button. Forgive me.
Yeah, it's got those spring allergies there in Kentucky.
Yeah, I've been. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Where were you? But there's going to be some pushback, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the latest insanity of the left. It's this constant battle for these perceived trans rights issues, but this is about going after kids, which is very disturbing. So to put your kids on, puberty blockers, or maybe they think they're the wrong sex. And they're talking about, transitional surgeries, these sorts of things. But the terrifying is they like to project this idea that all these, Republican parents are, just like these militant religious wingnuts who, are refusing, the better life for their kids or whatever, like, getting them on puberty blockers when they're young is going to somehow make them better adults someday, or that we have some sort of epidemic of people that are, born in the wrong bodies, and the quicker we transition them, the better off they'll be as adults. I haven't seen the data to support that. It's certainly in some rare cases there are. And, my heart goes out to those people. They have the same rights as anybody else. But the idea of a government coming in, I'm okay with, social workers, doctors. There are people that are out there to have these, discussions. But a lot of kids aren't really, able to consent to things that they don't totally understand, and it feels like there's an agenda being thrown at them, which I'm going to tie into with latest with the Mr. Beast big YouTuber, like the biggest YouTube channel, and his right hand man who is all of a sudden going to transition. And that's where the most popular YouTube channels where people are seeing that. And now the transgender issue is being thrown into, the kids' faces. They're really going at trying to normalize this thing. And now they want to set a precedent. So like maybe kids are going to watch, here, let me pull up a quick article on this because it's
Sure.
something that people need to see here. I'm just going to have to share the screen because I have too many open windows. Well, we've got this one here. Mr. Beast, this is out of the Federalist, is introducing millions of children to transgenderism without parental consent. So gigantic YouTube channel, 144 million subscribers. And so, there's kids that watch this stuff because they're cool videos for kids to learn things. There's entertainment. It's not really, for me, every once in a while there might be something that's interesting for me to check out. They give away lots of money. There's some good, generous charity work, and just, they might just entertainment, just blow stuff up or have fun, and kids watch it. But now all of a sudden they're getting this guy who's on the crew, Chris, his friend, who is like supposedly the most masculine guy. He had just gotten married, had his own kid. He was Mr. Outdoorsy, and all of a sudden he started transitioning. And now all the kids are starting to watch this stuff, and they're wondering, and they're asking their parents about it. Like, what's going on here? When you see that and it's shoved in your face, and there's, hey mom, hey dad, what's going on with this man? What happened to Chris? Why is he now, wearing nail polish and, ladies' sweaters and stuff like that? It's bringing up awkward conversations. And now that you put that together, now I'm putting out the conspiracy theory, well, kind of, that he might be blackmailed, because there's an article out saying that Mr. Beast's sidekick, Chris Tyson, he owns some art owned by a disgraced artist known for scandals involving animated child pornography. And there's also some old tweets he'd probably rather not know about. Here he is, Mr. Nickelodeon. Oh, yeah, he's got the Nickelodeon background, which some people suspect are maybe involved in some weird things, kind of like Disney. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But we've got, Chris Tyson, years ago, 2017, posted a photo showing artwork which appeared to depict a sexualized young girl. He's got a few other things that he's brought up, kind of showing that, I'm not saying he's into pedo porn, but maybe cartoonish pedo porn, like this kind of stuff. They've even had to blur these things out. So he's made some really disturbing mentions. So this guy is maybe involved, or at least maybe knew this artist, and that got some of his artwork, which is
let me ask, those blurred pictures, those were things he tweeted also, not related to the art, just elsewhere in his feed.
Well, he was promoting this artist, and he had bought art from this guy Shadman, who has sexualized child characters. And so he became embroiled in controversy 2016, drawing suggestive pictures of the 7-year-old daughter of an internet commentator. Pornographic, it's called lowly artwork, intended to represent candidates as little girls.
Does that mean lollipop?
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. Lollipop, lolly artwork. So I guess it's not technically
creepy little kid stuff. Creepy little kid stuff.
Yeah, without being, actual kids and actual, pedophilia stuff. It's oh, okay, well, it's cartoonish. So I guess in 2016, 1 year prior to showing off his photo of this Shadman art, that's Chris Tyson, he posted a tweet reading, "Nothing gets my knob a cranking like some lolly." An apparent reference to,
wow.
We'll just say, looking at some animated content featuring underage girls, but then he rapidly deleted the tweet after it began to tweet. And another tweet, he said, Tyson wrote that bitch looked good for So somebody said this ratio look, and then now they're digging into his profile because people want to know, how did this alpha male guy all of a sudden want to transition? So it doesn't make any sense. So my conspiracy theory here is the cabal or somebody went after him and made a deal and said, hey, we are going to expose you as a pedo, and your family's over, your YouTube channel's over, Mr. Beast and your 144 million subscribers or whatever are over. You guys are going to be shamed, destroyed. Your lives are over. Or how about this? Why don't you transition? Made a deal with the devil. Now, this is not something I'm reading, even though I'm scrolling around here, but this is just my personal theory, because I can't figure out why somebody would all of a sudden transition just out of the blue, unless there's something major. This doesn't happen normally. But if he's busted with child porn, because if that's just, a few of the things that are happening, a few of the tweets, some of the artwork, and if he's already like into Lolly or whatever it is, you can bet he's got a big collection of it somewhere. And who knows what else he's looking at. So if you found him and you saw that, and you can either break the guy and throw him away, or you can bring him onto your side and push your crazy agenda. And I think that's what's going on. So you tie that together with the Washington thing, where now the state's going to take away your kids if they think that maybe they're trans. Maybe they're watching Mr. Beast videos and they're sympathizing and they're going, yeah, maybe I'm a girl, or maybe I'm a boy. Maybe I should go get puberty blockers. And then dad said, no, you're not going to get a transitional surgery. No, but then they go to school, and the school acts like, they're the heroes, and they get to take your kid and take them away from you. And they're going to get transitional surgery. And now you got Colorado, has the governor has decided to one up there, and now they're making it a what do they call it? Let me share the screen again, because I'm going to go find this.
Well, while you go find it, I'm just to make the point here. I mean, go into any elementary school now. I mean, it is the Skittles Mafia. It's rainbow hair, it's rainbow flags, and they are winning souls to their Lord. It has become a religious cult. And the members want to recruit and groom people to join their party. They want people to become a devotee of their new religion. It's not a new religion, but the organization and the way that they're attacking society to try to win people over to their Lord, it's very religious. It mimics the same exact thing that a lot of this group tends to say that they hate about Christianity. They don't like how pushy it is and how assumptive it is, that everybody is just going to be like that. And so this is like the counterculture rebellion against a societal norm, against a traditional, orthodox, conservative component to society. It's Blake, this is an incredible time we are living in, sir.
Oh, absolutely. So, and not in a good way. I thought it'd be cool, like if we could make some big breakthroughs, like scientifically, and we're ready to go into the Star Trek era, and we're going to have new breakthroughs that make our lives easier, better. And instead, no, we're just getting our kids into these weird trans issues. And I'm just looking at it. I just found out that I think it's Tim Curry's birthday. What's that? What's the iconic movie he's in the 70s?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. So he was kind of trans.
Not kind of, dude. Yeah. And that's the thing. This has always been there. Klinger from MASH was a cross-dresser, and you had Mork and Mindy, or what was it? Mrs. Doubtfire, and you had this one here. Rocky
the
Horror
Crying
Picture Show
Game with RuPaul. You had Boy George. There were people like out there. So it sounds like there's all this like discrimination or anything. They're making it seem like it's this huge deal, when it's really not.
Like, we just don't want you going around selling it to get more people onto your team, because it's really creepy to like start talking to kids about this type of stuff. It's beyond creepy. It's criminal.
speaking of beyond creepy and criminal, so it was bad enough that Inslee in Washington is going to push this law, but now you've got the governor here in Paulus who's saying new laws signed by the state's Democratic governor Jared Paulus mean the teens under the age of 18 from across the United States can travel to Colorado to undergo gender reassignment surgery
my
and
God.
hormone replacement without their parents or state being able to stop them.
I'm sorry. What?
Yes, and the Colorado law will now
No.
override the
Supreme Court
laws.
immediately. Like these
No.
are
Right.
Supreme Court needs to in what is it, an injunction? They need to get involved in this immediately. People under the age of 18, when you're 18 years of age and 1 day old, you can do whatever dumb stuff you want. And then at that point, I wish you peace and love and joy, and I hope you have a great life. But yeah, if you're not an adult, we're in very different territory. This is you know what it is, Blake.
Well, yeah, it's evil. It's insanity. It's just, this can't be happening, but it is happening. So now these Colorado law will actually override laws in a child's home state, meaning their parents in their home state will have no legal option to sue. So if you're in Tennessee, where they've put a stop to these laws, then and there's a kid who's, let's say, 14 and decides that they want to go transition, they can go to Colorado and the parents will have no legal option to sue or file to prevent them from changing their gender. So, and it's come out of the Daily Mail, and here it is. Trio of new laws ensures the people traveling for care won't be punished. So it's a liberal peninsula among a sea of hostile red states. But I wouldn't even call that liberal. That's just nuts. That's crazy. So yeah, these states where it's banned, as you can see, Tennessee is one of them, and maybe coming one in Texas. I think is going to be a big issue going forward into the country, is determining where they can do this, much like abortion. But this is a real story, and here he is, proudly signing that, like they're doing something for, like the civil rights of our era. It's not. Oh yeah, here's the abortion rights here on this map. So yeah, and that's going to kind of bring me to the, one of the stories is just kind of, is there, do we have to have a national divorce at some point? Because these seem to be like irreconcilable differences. I get the abortion thing, and it's divided heavily, but I think the trans issue is something that we should have more agreement on. And, I'm okay for it. In those rare cases where, people are just born in different circumstances. In the rarest of circumstances, if that needs to be done, I don't want to stand in the way, but there's so much more information that needs to come out about this. And
but but you know what? I guess, I mean, you would probably say this is a bit of a right-left issue.
Am I on the wrong tab? Yeah.
I don't know if you're on the wrong. We're back.
Was I on the Twitter page or was I on the Daily Mail page? I think I was on the Daily Mail page. Right? Was this the one you saw?
Well, if
I was talking about the maps and everything, were you looking at maps, or were you still on my Twitter feed?
If I may be so bold as to make an admission here, I was typing in media mentions of the word trans by year, because what I was trying to add to your conversation while you made your point, I was not looking at that screen. I was on another screen. And
no
it
worries.
was, I couldn't find what I was looking for. I was trying to find like the times that the media used the word trans or discussed trans by year. And I feel like it started becoming an issue in 2012, 2013, 2014. It started becoming an obsession, and then maybe it kind of balanced for a while, but then I don't know, maybe people are running out of urgent issues to discuss. But yeah, it seems like it's spiked a lot lately. So I'd love to see that statistic. So no, I have no idea what your screen was, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just showing some of the screens now. You can see it here,
There we are.
but I wasn't sure if I was looking at the right article. But
Gotcha.
here's where the trans care, the states that are banned, and the we're still trying to figure that one out. But I'm not
What are they
really.
calling trans care? Like they're mutilating functional genitals. This
Right.
is a mutilation if you came into my home and just started chopping and sawing through my ductwork, like, hey man, this is functional. What are you doing? Like that is a serious home renovation. That like you really better be convinced that the people who are working on you, that they're licensed, that they know what they're doing, that there's some sort of track record to the thing they're about to exchange it for. It's like, oh, here's your brand new system, except you won't feel any heat or air conditioning, but you will have to clean it out twice a day, every day. You know what I mean? Like they're taking the male organ and inverting it into a little kangaroo pouch. You feel nothing, and you have to clean it twice a day. You had functioning ductwork and plumbing, and someone convinced you this is a much better idea. I'm sorry, I don't see that as a better idea. It seems like an awful idea. And if someone was dead set on it at 18 years and 1 day old, they can do it.
Yeah, at least by 18.
We're talking about much
Yeah.
more than this here. It's
Right. At
leave
least
the
by
kids
18,
alone.
they've at least had an orgasm, right? You'd think maybe at some point they have, but I mean, if they're too young to have even had sex, but they'll never experience an orgasm and they'll never be able to, they'll be sterilized. So it's just, to me, it's a crime against humanity on these kids that don't know any better. How would they know? And then if they're watching Mr. Beast videos and all this other trans crap thrown in their face all the time, then they're totally identity confused, and they're easily manipulated. And then the state is going to take their parent, or it's going to take the kid from the parents. Maybe ship them off to Colorado, get hormone blockers, and now,
my God.
Yeah. So I think
how could anybody allow their kid to be in a public school?
No, you can't. So there's going to be a big protest. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow in Washington State, where it's going to be the pushback, and we'll see what happens, because that's going to be where it's interesting versus all of the, the parents or right wing or conservative or patriotic or independent or whatever, versus the militant trans and Antifa side, who are going to be counter rallying to say, no, this is great. The state should take kids away and transition them. It's awful. I don't get the trans. I don't judge anybody. I want everybody to be their authentic self. But wouldn't it be easier just to be gay instead of trying to actually transition yourself? And I just feel bad because I think they have the right intention and they think they're going to feel better if they have the other equipment. It's just, it's not going to work. So I don't understand. And it's just, it's a mistake. And then they have to live with that. And I think they can't ever admit that they made a mistake. And some
people do.
They do.
There are a lot of
very brave.
Yeah, but there are a lot of stories coming out. Like, this is an issue I've never really decided to devote too much time to, because to each their own. I'm fairly libertarian on social issues until you start trying to warp kids. Don't convince my kid he's a Yankee fan. He's a Cleveland sports fan. I can't even call him the Indians.
You wouldn't do that to your kid, right? You wouldn't do that.
Turn somebody into but that's what the teachers are doing. They're trying to take your kids away from you and be like, no, you like my team. Join my team. Dye your hair. We can do all sorts of pretty things together. It's like, there's a time and a place, lady. No. Excuse me, sir. No. Like, stop. Like, it is... the line in the sand has been drawn very clearly. So anyhow, the first two stories really blur well together. And by well together, I mean sickeningly together into this next story here, Blake. I'm going to pull this one up. you know, what's going on here? Would you agree or disagree that the UN is right to push the normalcy of sex with minors? It's really the same topic, Blake. The UN, it's coming. This assault is approaching humanity from every angle, sir. Do you agree or disagree
Yeah.
that the UN is right to push the normalcy of sex with minors?
Disagree. But I mean, I get it. I get it. These people are involved in doing that. The people that want to push this are people that know that they should probably be thrown in jail or perhaps euthanized for taking advantage of children. It's now they're trying to normalize it, is that it's okay. That way, if they can pass those laws, they won't get in trouble for it. I suppose it'd be like trying to normalize murder if you're a murderer. Like, oh, I've killed a few people. Well, I'm going to normalize. Hey, it's okay to kill people. That way, you don't get in trouble for it. I don't know. That's just awful. And the people have always suspected that there's high level, elite pedophile rings, and we know about the Epstein thing. We know about Catholic Church, and there's stuff going on in Hollywood or Disney or the music industry. There is all kinds of nefarious, awful things. The British royalty around the world. There's some just weird blue-blooded freaks that have way too much money, and they are just involved in awful things. And some of it perhaps is in dealing with Satanism or pedophilia. And now they are just trying to normalize it because, yeah, it should be turned against them. They need to be quarantined from the rest of society, especially children. And it needs to stop. But
This is a Constitutional Court Justice
yeah.
Edwin Cameron during his send-off ceremony on August 20, 2019 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Cameron wrote the foreword to a new set of international legal recommendations released on March 8, 2023, that he says will protect those whose sexual practices are identified with the disapproved or stigmatized conduct. This article is claiming that children may consent to sex with adults and that it's been the plan all along here, Blake. The shocking report issued by internal legal experts with the backing of the United Nations appears to open the floodgates to normalize sex with minors. Sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual, in fact, if not in law. The Geneva-based International Commission of Jurists wrote in March with an assist from UNAIDS and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. The report's titled The 8 March Principles for a Human Rights-Based Approach to Criminal Law Prescribing Conduct Associated with Sex, Reproduction, Drug Use, HIV, Homelessness, and Poverty. Wow, that reads like a leftist mayor's dream city. All of those things right there. Washington bill. Oh, there we go. Washington bill. Sorry. There we go. So it's published front and center on the group's website. It does not actively call for decriminalizing sex between adults and minors, but it does state that children have both the capacity and the legal right to make sexual decisions. Blake, I mean, there are people out there. Everybody said, "Oh, it's just a slippery slope, Blake. It's just a slippery slope. Yeah, that'll never happen. We're not going to get into like animals and kids and." We're kids. I mean, just about all that's left is animals and dead necrophilia. I think that's all that's left: animals and dead people. Yeah, but the once unthinkable recommendations from an internal cabal of global elite legal minds appears to suggest that pedophilia could be normalized, and it touched off a horrified reaction on social media around the world. Ian Miles Chong says, according to the United Nations, children may consent to sex with adults, and it's been their plan all along. Sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual, in fact, if not in law. That's incredible. Yeah, the UN, I mean, and any credit that they might have had, any,
Nah.
I mean, is there anything left at the UN that anybody should regard with any sort of esteem, Blake? Or are they have been trash and they continue to be trash?
Yeah, occasionally they might make some interesting suggestions. I'm not totally against what they're for, but I am absolutely America first, and we have our Constitution, and we're a sovereign nation, and we do our own things. If they have trying to do their own agenda, that's cool, but have a right to call it out and say this is why we do things different here in America. And no, we don't agree with that. And I think a lot of these elitist pedos are terrified of, say, the Epstein Island, the flight logs getting released and finding out who's who. And they've seen what happened to, Prince Andrew. And they know that I've heard that there's powerful people that they've caught. They can't even mention their name. They're going to wait for them to die because it would cause too many problems if their names were released. It's that bad. And I can only imagine. I forgot to even mention that the DC pedo ring that people have long suspected. So there's a lot of ways for people to get blackmail. There's ways to get into the elitist circles, like Epstein Island. That'll get you into the club. So, but once they're terrified of the public finding out because they're going to come after them, and you can't blame them. So now I guess maybe this is some really desperate attempt to try to normalize and say, hey, it's not our fault, and see, it's okay now because now it's a law or whatever. But I don't think anybody's going to go along with that, and people are going to be sick when they figure out just what their elitist rulers have been up to for so long behind closed doors. It's disgusting. So
it sure seems like this world needs an enema, Blake.
I say just
Remember
flood
when
it.
The Joker said that?
It's over. Flood it all and start it again. They say they flooded it the first time because the people were just degenerate and lazy, and the gods said no. Just we're gonna have to wipe out and start it all over again. And perhaps and some people think, including myself, that it's coming whether we want it or not. So, and maybe I'm just saying, good riddance. Let's try it again next time. But the wrong people keep getting in charge, and this is what they do. And when you're just degenerate inbred blue bloods for so many hundreds or if not thousands of years, you just start to go crazy, and you're separated from the rest of humanity. And instead of uplifting them, you keep all the knowledge to yourself, and you become even more monstrous. And you prey on the innocent, which is what we have now. And now we've got this weird dynamic where we've got this psychopathic, pedo elite, and then you've got the masses of, this idiocracy going on who don't know anything, and they're just being preyed on all the time. And it's problematic. We're a really broken culture and society, civilization, and it's only really been a few thousand years. So, yeah, time for the reboot. I was hoping for the Star Wars, Star Trek type of future, but I don't know if we're going to get that. We're lost.
Yeah,
we are lost, and we've got a lot of problems to fix before we can advance any further.
All right. Well, before we advance any further, let me tell people where to follow you online. Where are the best places to follow you, Blake?
Twitter, TV's Blake Walley, and my website, thenextlevelnews.com.
Excellent. Yes. And follow the New American Media on Rumble. That's our new one, The New American Media. And on the Spotify. Yeah. Search for the Agree to Disagree show over there. Posted a couple episodes, had a nice, very, very in-depth, a robust conversation with hip hop artist, news analyst, and harmonica player Anomaly over the weekend. And the
marathon broadcast. We're gonna get the.
That's what I do.
Multiple videos out of that for sure. It's a 4-hour long marathon interview. It's great, but once we're gonna separate that and we're gonna repurpose all that content, it'll be good.
Yes, let's do that, Blake. That's what you do best. Yeah, I did an earlier show with Stephanie earlier in the year, and he's like, dude, that was so long. And I'm like, yep. I'm like, that's just kind of what I do. So I will tamp it down with other people.
Anomaly are two of the kings of that, because you guys can talk and talk and talk by yourselves, but put you both together. And it was like, wow. So yeah. That's like a whole afternoon, 4 hours. That is
Yeah, I mean, it was deep into the evening,
Yeah.
man. Like by the end, I was like kind of like seeing hummingbirds. I was like, bro, I was well out of coffee at that point. I started off with that fun pistachio Starbucks, and by the end, I was just I was drained. But yeah, but if you notice, most of the time in this show, I think most of the time, or maybe I'm misremembering. If we put a pie chart together, who's talked for more amount of time, I feel as though I'm trying to talk less and hear what Blake has to say a little bit more
Yeah, no, you're
in
doing a great job
this
of
aspect. And
driving as the host and splitting it up and managing the time. Yeah.
even with AJ too, it was kind of like, you know, I can hear me talk anytime. You know, it's kind of about like here's an open forum, and you talk. I know I've steamrolled some interviews in the past, and it's like people are like, oh, let's hear more from the guest. Why even have a guest if you're not going to let them talk? But it's like, you know, but it's a game of tennis. Like you participate in the game together, and you know, there's a time and a place to offer an opinion, then to dial it back, then to just follow up with a question instead of like another reply. But yeah, it is interesting. Hello, Dreamer Ultra. Welcome, welcome. Better late than never, he says. All right, yes, maybe the algorithms have finally given our feed to some people. I was going to ask you, Blake, would you say that the article you had pulled up here for the Colorado providing transgender tourism being a great progressive policy, we already covered that when we were talking
Yeah.
about the other two stories? Okay, so we'll move past that. But since we're still talking about kids, do we want to talk about the vegan school lunch options, or do we want to talk about how kids need to be prepared for a national divorce and a civil war, or in order to avoid a civil war?
Yeah, we could probably blend
Those,
those together. And there was also one other real quick one I had on that subject as well that broke recently, and that is Joe Biden saying that he will veto any bills that's protecting female sports. So they're basically,
what a creep! I am, and by the way,
yeah,
I am the host of the Unhappy Hour sports show. I am a sports guy through and through. I haven't been creating a lot of original sports content as of late, per se, but it doesn't mean I have any less of an opinion on this. And I am fed up with anybody that thinks it's okay for a biological male to whoop on a female. It's not cool. It is not acceptable. There is no shades of gray. You have a biology, you compete in that biology, we are done. If you want to have a special biology, if you want to have a special nationwide trans league, and you get to meet up with, you can practice with the boys, but then you'll play in the transgender league, in the transgender Olympics, and you find a way to get funding for such a thing. Okay, fine. If you're gonna do that, fine, but stay the hell away from ladies' sports. There is no debate. Watching Fallon Fox crack a skull open from a lady is it's the most barbaric shit you could imagine, Blake.
yeah, no, I agree, and I'm not discriminating trans. I don't care. Yeah, have a trans Olympics. Sure, that'd be a great thing. They can have their own scholarships. They can have their own section of sports. Doesn't bother me at one bit. But yes, a biological male going, or like Leah Thomas winning the swimming awards, and the lady that lost, who worked her ass off to be a top swimmer, who should have won, wants to go, tell people in San Francisco at the university, hey, I think it's kind of unfair that a biological male who was on the men's swim team switched to a female and dominated and beat me. Maybe we shouldn't have, but the men in the sports. And then people wouldn't even let her talk, held her hostage, missed her flight, can't even have a conversation. So there is no, discrimination on trans people. So this is all just made up. We just don't want it being pushed on kids, and being under any kind of pressure to go under puberty blockers or transitional surgeries or anything like that, or into sports for that matter. But now they're pushing back. So it's not progressive anymore. The leftists have lost the plot. So here we are. But yeah, now it's the thing with the New York City we could talk about too. And that's going to lead to the national divorce, I think, just as the overall encompassing. So once we get to 2024, I think it's going to be a problem of whether either side accepts the results of the election.
I think either side could accept the results if you had a proper audit system.
Yeah.
Like where are the paper ballots? How are they filed and cataloged? Are they double checked by somebody from the opposite party? Is it organized? Is it all on camera? If we can have an audit, we can trust the election. I mean, there's no way that America is voting to destroy itself. And that's all we've been doing for 2 years is destroying ourselves.
Yeah, we've really gone downhill. This is not the same country anymore. It's changed dramatically just since we were kids in the 20th century.
Good Lord.
I can't imagine these poor kids today. They have no idea. They don't know how awesome it was to be an American in the 80s and even the 90s. We were kind of spoiled, but it was still like, paradise compared to now, where it's just divided and people just, hate everything. They hate America. They hate the other side of the party. And we have a problem. And I don't think conservatives are going to go along with this, especially if you got the state taking, kids away to go through transitional surgery. Like we've crossed the line. It ain't going to happen. So people are going to start shooting if they can't accept the results and we can't live together. So rather than go that level, maybe we should just, find a way to do this in a peaceful way. And then the leftists can go live in their own insanity, and it'd be a big social experiment to see which civilization, survives and thrives. And I don't think it's going to be the leftists. They're not going to have as many kids. The kids are going to be totally screwed up, and it's going to be a big mess. So,
what's more likely? What's more likely that we could get that we could? So what? People are going to move, or they're just going to switch houses? It's like if you have a domicile or an apartment within this range, you're just going to switch here. You're going to trade a Republican person for a Democrat person. These are the cities where they're going to believe in 10 of the key tenants. Like we're going to get 19 of these 20 things right for you, but you got to go over there. So here's a comparable thing. We'll clean it. We'll vacuum the floors and we'll paint it for
Airbnb,
you. And you guys are just going to switch. You're just is it more likely that we're going to be able to get people to do that, or that Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump can join on the ticket, unite the party on one ticket?
Oh God, if it came down to that, I hope they could just, unite on the ticket, because it's going to be a logistical nightmare. But either that, or we're going to have a shooting war. And if I was a parent and my kid was normal, but they just watched Mr. Beast videos and got the wrong idea, and all of a sudden the state took them, shipped them off to Colorado, and then they came back the other sex and they didn't have the organs anymore, I'm going to shoot somebody. I would think. I'm not a parent, so I'm not. Don't at me, man. Don't at me, bro. But I can't imagine being a parent and having that happen. So they've really they keep heating it up. They keep escalating things. Hello, Name. Yeah.
I guess they were trying to find the line where people would not take anymore. I would say kidnapping, mutilating, torturing, mangling someone's child would probably be a line that you might not want to cross. And if we've had to go down all the other lines to kind of reach this one as the jumping off point, all right, yeah, you might have finally found the point where you're going to get people riled up to violence from the political right. You might have finally found it. Okay. There you go.
Yep, absolutely. Washington state bill allowing government to take away minor from parents if they refuse to agree to their transition surgery. So, but they're not young enough to consent to anything. They're not old enough to drive a car. They can't do anything yet. They can't drink. Yeah, they can't drink.
It's the parents. It's the parents that want to oversee a science project. I don't think that's fair to the kid, but a lot of people that support this stuff, they agree with killing kids in the womb. That's one of the main issues they want to continue.
Yeah,
as opposed to the people on the right that are just saying, I don't think that's a great way to live as a society. I don't think we should be, mutilating human life. But that side, whether it's an abortion that mutilates a human life or takes the perfectly fine HVAC and plumbing systems of the house and just, now it doesn't work right and you don't feel hot or cold and you got to clean it twice a day. I don't see how that's improved your household. It's mutilation. It's a party addicted to mutilation, Blake. They're addicted to mutilation. Why is that such a pressing issue to them?
I don't know what happened, because they were all cool like 20 years ago, or at least they seemed to have the right idea, well, compared to the Bush Cheney administration and all the wars and the Patriot Act and their insanity or their religious fundamentalism on abortion, or whether gay people were a real thing, or whether that was a choice, or whether you could have marijuana legal. I mean, they're horrible. The Republicans were absolutely garbage during those times, and it was the liberals that were the ones making sense to me. But now, after 8 years of Obama, they lost the plot, and they're not recognizable anymore. It's just the social justice warrior insanity and this outrage culture. I don't get it. And the Republicans have gone more reasonable, but the leftists have actually joined up with the old neocons. Like, what the hell? So they're even aligning with their old people. They're aligning with their old enemies, because they think MAGA and Donald Trump are somehow way worse. It's Orange Hitler and the Nazis. They're just totally lost. And
whereas it's George Soros and Ron DeSantis and it's Paul Ryan and the Bush family. They're all trying to figure out, like, okay, this is how we can represent this side in the next election, how all of us can come together. And you're like, ew, no. Like, if you were a casting director and we're trying to put a movie that I want to watch together, none of those Ron DeSantis. It's like you put Margot Robbie in a terrible movie, and you're like, there's nothing that appears redeeming about this. Yes, I compared Ron DeSantis to Margot Robbie. Yes, I did once compare Donald Trump to Jesus, but no, you clowns, that doesn't mean you worship him. I just mean that he was flogged and his ass was kicked and he was nailed up and got demolished by people spitting on him and mocking him relentlessly and religiously. There's a big difference. But yes, Ron DeSantis, little Ronnie D. That's Margot Robbie. Am I even saying her name right?
Robbie, I think.
Anyway, Robbie. All right.
Oh, that's little. I'm calling dibs on her. That's mine. All right.
Okay.
She's great. I like her. Yeah. She's actually a really humble, really sweet, on top of just being amazingly beautiful and a great actress. So
I see. Well,
you have to watch her on the Hot Wings show where they eat the hot wings.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one. All right, I will check that one out. Well, speaking of a snack, Blake.
Yeah.
So there's like tasty treat or a sweet or a snack. A tasty snack. Trying to keep it classy there. But would you agree or disagree with this next topic? That kids need more vegan school lunches to combat climate change. More vegan school lunch, combat climate change.
Absolutely agree. No, okay. It's another one I don't understand. If ideally speaking, maybe people could be vegan or have more vegan items. I don't know if that's safe for everyone biologically, but they've turned into the climate cult. That's another thing with the Obama years. So now they're all convinced that every little output of carbon is warming the earth, and we're all the ice caps are going to melt and we're all going to die. So it's insane. It's insane. So the New York City Mayor Adams, he's a vegan apparently, and so this is being pushed in New York. So why don't I pull this up so people can believe it? You got to see it to believe it sometimes. So here's the vegan mayor, Eric Adams, the limited amount of meat people can eat to combat climate change. So he wants to reduce food-based gas emissions by 33% in the next 7 years. Says food is the third biggest sources of cities' emissions, right after buildings and transportation. But not all food is created equal. Vast majority of the food that is contributing to the emission crises lies in meat and dairy products. So they've already had, I guess last year, children in New York City schools, they already had meatless Mondays, and then they come out with vegan Fridays. That's just wrong on so many levels. Like even the meatless Mondays suck, but can't you just have the regular, just rectangle pizza or something on Fridays and chocolate milk? I think Brian, I remember we used to have chocolate milk on Fridays. That's kind of made it special, but now they're trying to ruin your day. And I guess they're making these awful tortilla dishes that kids were taking pictures of. Oh, I think remember Michelle Obama? I don't remember like 10 years ago.
Yes.
Michelle Obama had those, and they were having kids take pictures their school lunch, and it was like they had cut down so much, like there's just not enough food. But
slop.
Yeah, so here is this school lunch. It was like just black beans, tomato, and corn, and the burrito wasn't even vegan. And they said it was awful. Most of the kids dumped this in the garbage or just ate the cookies. It smelled like armpits and was completely unappetizing. Why would you remove the options for students? So that's what they are pushing. Well, it's better than the bugs, I guess, which is what the World Economic Forum is going to have. So maybe they'll get, if you want meat, we'll give you crickets. So who knows? Adams wants all New Yorkers to adopt his nutrient-deficient vegan diet, and if they don't, he will do it by force. And you know what? Some people do pretty well on a vegan diet, but I think it kind of goes with blood types, and there's more to it. And just with you can't give, like vegan food to, dogs or cats or, obvious carnivores and things like that. Humans are omnivores. So I'm not, totally against it. I used to think ideally, maybe someday in the future, that all humans would eventually adapt into veganism, but I don't think that's actually true. I think we need to eat, or at least most humans need those kinds of animal proteins in our diets. I'm okay with being wrong. I don't know. I don't think you should force it on kids, just like when people shouldn't, buy, vegan dog food and force their dogs to eat it, so that they have to force themselves so they don't starve. It's unhealthy all the way around. And of course, I'm not, convinced about, climate change anyway. So it's just more insanity, just kind of like seeing how much people can put up with. But there you go. So that's the update there. What do you think, Brian? Do you agree or disagree?
Oh man, come on. I think everything needs to be rethought. I want to see gardening. I really do. I want to see kids growing some of their own food that they eat. I think it's important that people are connected to their food source. There's a man on the street. I'll give you the preview, I suppose. We did a man on the street at NAM. So we were filming and AJ was asking the questions. And the question was, all right, so you're omnipotent, omniscient, all the power of the world in your little finger, and you get to select the next president in 2024. But that person has to be a musician. Who do you pick and why? Who do you pick and why? It is a hell of a question, because originally the question, AJ's like, all right, how about this? What if we ask, who would you rather have as president, John Legend or Kid Rock? And I'm like, all right. I see how you're threading the needle. You're focused on music, and we're opening the Pandora's box to politics. It's clever. I'm like, but let's open it a little bit wider than that. So that's what we settled on for a question. So I'll tell you what I said while you ponder who your answer is. I had two answers.
I'm going to guess. Can I guess your answer? You say,
this is great.
I bet you said James Maynard Keynes, maybe. Did you?
Maynard Keenan?
Whatever. I forget. I always mess up his name every time. Yeah. The guy from Tool. How about the lead singer of Tool?
Don't you mean the guy from Pussifer?
And Pussifer and Perfect Circle, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how prolific is that you can front 3 major rock bands in your career?
I know he's highly intelligent, but I don't know if he's, a wokester. I don't think he is. So I'm just trying to think of like really smart guys that would be capable of it and that aren't like totally insane. Because some of these.
So
guys,
my first answer was, I said Bradley Nowell.
Who's that?
From Sublime. I said,
the original,
well, he doesn't practice.
The new one?
The original singer. I said, so if you could pick any musician living or dead.
Yeah.
So if there was someone who was passed, I would pick Bradley Nowell. I said, because he doesn't practice Santeria. He doesn't have a crystal ball.
Oh,
He had $1 million, but he spent it all, which means he'd be great in Washington, D.C. He'd get a bunch of money and then he'd spend all of it. So it just seems like he's kind of hardwired to like function that way mathematically. So then
interesting. But
how I wrap this into the topic at hand that we were talking about was I picked Uncle Ted Nugent for a living musician because I said, you know, he's a hunter and he believes in harvesting food off of your land and being more at one with our food supply. And I think getting away from factory farms and genetically modified food is super important for America. And he'd be a great spokesperson to do that.
wow, Uncle Ted is the president of the United. That's crazy. I was blown away. I would have thought you said Maynard James Keenan.
Now Maynard would be an interesting choice. I mean, he went up to Arizona and he just had a vision and he put the homework in. And he created like Caduceus vineyards. Like he started a wine company and it's like very successful. And he's, you know, he fronts 3 rock bands and he's a former military guy, very disciplined and very successful. He sees a task, he completes a task, he builds upon his successes. Like it's a person that gets shit done. You know, say what you want about Donald Trump, but like he's a builder. He gets shit done. He builds things. So who would you pick, Blake? You were in charge of the world. You picked 2024 president, but it has to be a musician. Who is it? Why? And why did you pick that member of the Dandy Warhols?
I love the Dandy Warhols. They're not openly crazy. They're in Portland, and I know they're liberal. But they're not like politically like, you know, like Cake. Like Cake music just loves in your face, just the most insane. And I love Cake, but I've been blocked by Cake on Facebook and Twitter because they're always dicks like, oh, well, why don't you share your confident opinion? What do you think? And then I always, you know, throw it out because I'm very confident in my opinions, but then they never respond. They'll put up with me 10 or 12 times when I just destroy their argument. And then finally they just, they just cut me off. So definitely not the guy in Cake who likes, I don't know, McGrath. I can't remember his name, but smart guy, but musical genius, but not a political genius.
Fun fact.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Great album.
This is this is from 1995. Guess what? Sealed. So I might send this in to get it graded and put into a box for collectability. One of the best albums from this time frame, from the mid 90s, without a doubt. But yeah, people are collecting like old VHS, sealed VHS.
Yeah.
And they grade them like baseball cards and they become very collectible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sealed Cake. I love this album, the I Will Survive rendition. Okay, so you're not going to.
I don't know. So I'm one of those guys. It's hard for me to come up with the spontaneous ones because I know if I want to think about it and find the perfect candidate, I'm just going to go off the top of my head and just think Dave Mustaine, even though I don't know enough about if I even agree with that. I mean, even Kid Rock is John Rich. John Rich might come. How about like John Rich? There's probably people out there. There's a lot of musicians. I could come up with it. I would have thought Maynard James Keenan. I've only heard him interviewed a couple times, but just based on his intellect, I would think he'd be a rational enough person I could trust. I like Nugent, but I don't. That sounds absolutely terrifying. You could be a militant right winger, which would really be one of the most polarizing figures I could imagine being up there. So I don't know. I don't know if Dave Mustaine's a good choice. Otherwise, there's a lot. There's a lot of interesting characters I could put him in there. Roger Waters, even of Pink Floyd, somebody who's also very outspoken and smart, maybe sometimes misguided on some of these issues. A lot of these, some of the old classic leftists I do like. Except sometimes they're a little bit too much into the climate change, which I don't really subscribe to. But interesting. That's a great question, though. Very good. I bet you got some good answers for that.
Yeah. I was my main role was assisting in finding the right question and honing in on that. The second question was if President Biden were here today, what would you say to him? I guess so. Blake, what would you say to President Biden if you were on this show right now?
Oh my God. I don't even know because
this is where we put him on the spot.
A bad faith person, you know, I would probably want to say something mean, but I just don't know if anything would really have any effect. I don't think there's anything I could throw at him where maybe I could get an interesting response out of him, where he would say something stupid like dog-faced pony soldier or some weird. You could kind of trigger him and throw him off just enough. I don't know what I would say. I just
No,
say you're a
but some would
disgrace. You're
say
selling us out. You didn't win. But I don't know. There's no shame there to attach. So I used to like roasting.
Although to make sure that our overlords are crystal clear, that you can go to CISA.gov/rumor control to hear what Joe Biden's side of the story is. Although Blake seems to have a disagreement. CISA.gov/rumor control. That's the way that we got to talk these days. And if that Restrict Act goes through, we're just done talking. There will be no more conversation. There will be no point. It will be the Rubicon. It will be setting the fire to the ships behind you. There is no going back. It will be over. So that's why it's important. So yeah, I think I said to Joe Biden, I said, we're on to you. We know. And if you live long enough, it's coming real quick and it's going to be glorious. I can already close my eyes and envision you in restraints in a happy place. Like while your entire empire collapses around you, all of the decisions you've made and just the entire crime family. We're on to you. So that was kind of what I said.
Yeah. I'd like to say that question to him, 10, 15 years ago when he was more lucid and he would have more of an impact. Now I just think he's so checked out that he'd probably just laugh or wouldn't understand, or who knows.
Yes, let's shift from Biden over here to President Trump's homeless plan. From Biden to Trump, and I had this in front of me earlier, and now I'm searching on Instagram. I can't even find it. Did you see the one that he just released?
Yeah,
President Trump. He was on Instagram.
Like Bill 47 or something like that. Maybe I could look that up.
If you could find it, that would be super cool. Because I
scrolled and I saw something about that. I don't know if it was on Twitter or what. I didn't really put any time into it, but it had something to do with 47 and some way to solve the homeless issue. But
because I watched it earlier today.
Okay.
And now for some reason I can't locate it on Instagram. Like I'm typing and it says not found. Actually, let me grab this battery pack.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody follow us on all the places. Where are all the places, Blake? All the good spots.
Yeah. Twitter and Rumble and Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, Rumble. That's a good one. I like
it. It's called Agenda 47. And Trump vows to ban homeless people and will arrest them if caught. Trump says homeless people should be housed in big tent cities. See, I haven't really dug into this too much. But he says for a small.
Well, it's like a 2-minute clip. If we could play it, worth listening to, because some people get so hung up in the weeds, like,
Okay.
Well, Trump spends all his time on non-important issues. It's like no. He's been releasing series of very specific, clear-cut, concise policy change plans that I think we need to contrast right now, because what's happening is just it's a shame. Whether you're seeing videos from Atlanta or Chicago or San Francisco or Portland, they're heartbreaking, man. They're just like, there is no need to live like this. They're like, this is not how we're supposed to be kind of interacting with each other in shared spaces.
Oh, I completely agree. And I lived in LA like you, and I was in San Francisco in 2018, I think, or 2017. And it was on another level. It was just like, hey, it was just the normal way of thing was there was just homeless everywhere. Like I was just in their space. It was wild. Whereas in LA, there are tent cities, or you're walking under a bridge and there's tons of homeless, but they're kind of in camps. And then there's Las Vegas, which I spent a lot of time in, and there's a whole, tent situation out there as well.
Well, in Vegas, you have a subterranean society of people that live in the aqueducts.
Oh, it's nuts.
To get out of the heat. It's like geothermal. So like it's a whole society out there. I don't know if you're not familiar with it, do some research, but there's like a subterranean society.
All night for an email response from Steve, who will sign back in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Here.
Or you can find the answer right now in Slack and give
We can't make it silent,
Slack.
so well.
Where the future works.
Can you hear it? I can't hear it at all.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you can hear it. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Is it loud enough? All right, I'm going to play it because I can't hear it. But
I'll give you thumbs up if I can hear it from here. So this
Just tell me when to stop.
Okay. It should be like 2 minutes, right?
It's 3 minutes and a half.
Once great
it's worth listening to.
Unlivable, unsanitary nightmares, surrendered to the homeless, the drug addicted, and the violent and dangerously deranged. We're making many suffer for the whims of a deeply unwell.
Okay, is this the right one?
Yes, I was going to say, is there a way that you can watch on your phone, on your secondary screen or your tablet hung up here? That's why I was saying, how many screens do you have open? Because then if you mute it on your side, you could press play and watch it on the stream on Twitter or YouTube, and then you could hear it. Because I have that problem. When I play it on my side, I can't hear my own clip.
I can watch.
Do you know, is that
there is a way to do it?
We can work out? Because, like, I can't hear clips when I play them, and you can't hear them when you play them. Like, that's not helpful.
Well, if I just read the transcript. The homeless have no right. This is from President Trump. The homeless have no right to turn every park and sidewalk into a place for them to squat and do drugs. Americans should not have to step over piles of needles and waste as they walk down a street in a beautiful city.
Amen.
Because they've changed so much. Our first consideration should be the rights and safety of the hardworking and law-abiding citizens who make our society function. Because when he's back in the White House, we'll use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off the streets. Nothing compassionate about letting these individuals live in filth and squalor rather than getting them the help that they need. And we need professionals to help them. And for a fraction of what we spend on Ukraine, we can take care of every homeless veteran in America.
Yeah. So, God, that's perfect. You know, Blake.
Yeah. That's enough.
Do you remember? No. Please continue. I was just going to say, there is a little bit more if finish it, because it's super important. But you remember Dean and Adam and we went and spoke on the steps of the
but the tiny houses. Yeah,
because like the vet and my point was especially the veterans, man. Like, this is criminal that they're being hung out to dry. Like, not a single veteran should want for any sort of healthcare or housing assistance at all, especially when they come back after God knows what we put them through.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. So he says under Trump's strategy, working with the states, they will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of the bans will be arrested. They'll be given the option to accept treatment and services if they are willing to be rehabilitated. And then we'll open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create tent cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified. And we can open up our cities, make them livable and beautiful. For those who are temporarily down on their luck, we will work to help them quickly reintegrate into normal life. For those who have addictions, substance abuse, and the common mental health problems, will get treatment. And for severely mentally ill and deeply disturbed, bring them to mental institutions with the goal of reintegrating them back into society. It's a tough task. So what's taken place in the streets, that's what's taken place where they're taking so much drugs. We're going to try. And its strategy will be far better and also less expensive than spending vast sums of taxpayer money to house them in hotels without addressing their underlying issues. Mm-hmm. This is how I will end the scourge of homelessness and make our cities clean and safe and beautiful once again. We will do it. We will bring back America. So I think it's great. I almost want to go back. I could only go back into my old archives because I know I've talked about this issue as well. I was talking about just getting rid of all the nonviolent offenders, like out of jails, and maybe, repurposing them, not to put them in jail or behind closed doors, but just to get them into a safe place where they have, 3 square meals, they can get jobs, they can get rehabilitated, they've got doctors, not a place as punishment and whatever like that, but to actually really make an effort to try to, to fix whatever we can with these people and make them happy and productive and keep them maintained. And then also get them off the streets. Nobody wants to see that. It's a sad reflection of our society and culture that we've normalized this. So, and I've been all over the country. I've seen it all. They're everywhere.
So you would disagree that his homeless plan is heartless and short-sighted?
I would, yes, absolutely disagree. I would say whatever's going on now is awful, and anybody that disagrees should go, check out San Francisco. and see what's going on there.
Check out Los
or
Angeles.
People that haven't been around. Yeah. If people don't think, they haven't seen how bad it really is and how unacceptable that is. How do we consider how are we going to go into Star Trek sci-fi world and advance into our next evolution if we can't even take care of something so basic like that? And we got people living out, homeless in the streets or tent cities. It's just a disgrace. I'm so embarrassed to be, a human being at this thing. It's fascinating to be here and to document it and to see it, because you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, it is pretty astonishing.
It's time to do something. So Trump is 100% agree.
And that's why I wanted to highlight that, Blake. I know Trump gets a lot of grief for picking cultural battles that are insignificant at the end of the day. He gets grief for rambling and kind of repeating himself, and you'll have some of that, but I nobody else is going to prioritize this content if we don't. And this plan, this topic is near and dear to my heart. You know how tirelessly I worked in Los Angeles to try to find homes for animals. Like, we were overrun with, if you have a couple cats and you don't do anything, you don't have a couple, you have 40. And a couple of cats is not a problem, but 40 cats starts to become a problem. And so you try to adopt them out, you try to trap, neuter, return, you try to close off the breeding grounds. Like, it's it didn't happen overnight. You're not going to quite fix everything overnight, but you get started. And we had a homeless problem in our neighborhood. We had a large neighborhood, and there were people that were getting into carports and getting into cars and getting into homes. There were break-ins, there were burglaries, there was a rise in crime. There were tents on the sidewalks. There were ladies walking down the road, dropping their pants and pooping right in between two cars. I watched it out of my window twice. I watched a lady at the rear of my building drop her pants and pee all over my roseberry bushes, the ones that I would use to season my chicken. She peed on them. So I had to start reaching higher. Instead of kind of waist height, I had to start reaching to the top of this mammoth rosemary bush. God,
I remember
that thing it loved the soil it was in, man. That thing thrived. But
everything grows there. It's amazing. There's like weird flora, fauna I've never even seen before. And it just, it's all magically grows.
Yeah, I intended to take some succulents back home with me. I just never had the right opportunity. But yeah, California has the coolest succulents, and I tried to grow as many as I could. And I propagated those all across the community as well. We had hundreds and hundreds of pots that were filled with 50-50 blend, and then we'd put a transplant in it, take it to somebody's backyard area, and then we'd put the drip irrigation system. We'd attach it to the to the water supply over there in the laundry room, and then all of a sudden, people had lush tropical vacation spaces right there in their backyard that used to just be a dumping ground for like old mattresses and shopping carts. It's like we took concrete nothingness and we turned it into an ecosystem. Birds were getting water from there. People could grow strawberries and potatoes. They could compost their food. It was absolutely incredible. But, just the homeless situation in Los Angeles was, it started to take over everywhere. I remember I was in town with my dad and we tried to go get something to eat. Geez, what was that on maybe La Cienega up by Melrose or something? Trying to remember exactly. And yeah, I mean, we had to walk past. There was a tent set up right there on the sidewalk, and we couldn't use the sidewalk. By the time we got there, we're like, geez, what the heck was that? Like, why isn't somebody taking them somewhere? They can't be there. Then we go in to get something to eat, and a crazy person comes in and starts yelling stuff at the owner. Then the owner starts yelling back for him to get out of there. And it's just like, I'm living in a cuckoo clock. What is this? Is mental illness? This is drugs? Whatever this is, like, they need help. And this is not, you can't do this. This is not, I mean, like walking in like naked, titty hanging out and stuff, and like, and like trying to throw something at him. And it's like, I'm in a zombie movie. What is, lady? What, like, this person is a human and they need help. So, we need to do something to help them. This is not helping them. Like just, yeah, you can set your tents up here. Well, it's the Rudy Giuliani theory of the broken window. If you let one broken window stay there, guess what? You're going to have you got to do the Giuliani eyes as well. You got to, like Giuliani gets the big eyes. But like if you don't fix that window, you're going to have 20 broken windows by the next day. They're all going to be busted out 3 days later. So it's like you have to address these situations, and nobody has been, Blake. Nobody's doing it. I don't know where they think this is compassionate or this is okay for a society, because it's not. This is the exact opposite of okay. Our major American streets have turned into zombie movies. It's a shame, and at least this president, Donald J. Trump, has a plan for it, and he sounds pretty articulate. He sounds pretty specific. He's kind of thought it through, and something needs to happen to make these cities safe again and clean again. Because if they're not clean, they're not safe, and if they're not safe, you're not running the city right. It's that simple, Blake.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I love that he's putting that out there, because somebody needs to say it. We can't just sit there and turn a blind eye. It's never going to fix itself. So it's going to take a bold plan like that, and it sounds like he's got it all together there with Agenda 47.
Yeah, I love it. Agenda 47, because he'll be President 47. Oh, I love it. Hold on, did he just brand Agenda 47 as like? Is that going to be his? Is that going to be his campaign slogan? Like, is that's worth keeping? That is fucking genius, because of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. We all know about the Great Reset. We all know what the elites are trying to do. So if you go Agenda 47, that's President Trump's. I love it. Okay, if he keeps that as a marketing plan, I think it's great, because I'm like, Agenda 47. What is that? It didn't click for me at first, but now that it's clicked, I think I love it. You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next topic. We're going to move through the rest of them really fast.
Yep, lightning round.
All right, Blake, it is time to defund the DHS for alleged abuses of power. Do you have an article to pop up? Do you agree or disagree, Blake, that it is time to defund the DHS for alleged abuses of power?
I am going to agree to that. Absolutely. So you got Rand Paul. He was grilling Mayorkas a little bit, not as badly as Ted Cruz did a couple weeks ago, but still put him on the hot seat, and just to kind of present some of this information. And it's kind of, it does tie into what we were talking about in the beginning of the show with the Restrict Act. I could probably tie some of this in, as well as with Elon Musk and the Twitter files, and the way that the intelligence agencies have been, manipulating information or digging into, people's personal, Twitter, or to, restrict people, or they're actually going into, direct messages, private messages that you were sending on Twitter. They can be looked at by various federal agencies. So I'll just play a real quick clip out of this one. It's only a minute long with Rand Paul.
And by the way, before you press play, isn't that great that they got all that blackmail on you? They were a blackmail app all the time. They were little Jeffrey Epsteins, these creeps.
Oh yeah, so now it's been exposed. So I think that kind of goes into why I think they should be defunded. They have a function to protect the country, but not to spy on people's social media, unless they're actual terrorists. If they're actual Al Qaeda terrorists that wish to do harm and they're planning bombings or something, then you can probably get a green light to go look at people. I don't have a problem with that, but going after everyday citizens is not cool. So we'll run this quick. Here we go. Tell me if you hear it.
In 2021, DHS even put out a video encouraging children to report their own family members to Facebook for disinformation if they challenge the U.S. government narratives on COVID-19. Does that not sound like something out of 1984? Does that not sound like something out of Stalin's Russia, that our government's trying to get our kids to report their parents? I mean, that's crazy. Can you imagine your agency's putting out a video to tell kids to report their parents if they say something like, well, maybe children don't need to be vaccinated? I still say that because it's the truth. The risks for the vaccine are greater than the disease for COVID for children. It's different for the elderly and those who are targeted with disease, but that's an opinion based in fact, based on peer-reviewed papers. But that's not that government shouldn't get involved with trying to censor and restrict my ability to say these things. In reality, the most significant source of disinformation during the pandemic, with the most influence and greatest impact on the people's lives, was the U.S. government. The greatest purveyor of disinformation has been the U.S. government.
Amen. Yeah, in a sane world, we would get a President Rand Paul as well. I feel like I could be fairly comfortable or confident that a Senator Rand Paul would make a great President Rand Paul someday. So I don't know if he's on the short list to be a Trump VP or to go against Trump or to go in 4 years. But yeah, it sure sounds like something directly out of 1984, having to try to convince your parents to convince your kids to turn in your parents. That is beyond creepy, dude.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's part of it, and that kind of move it along with this article here. Musk dropping a bombshell interview with Tucker Carlson, saying the feds had full access to all Twitter accounts, including private messages.
Good Lord.
So during the interview, let's see, astonishing allegations. Government had complete access to private communications on the platform. The degree to which government agencies effectively had full access to everything blew my mind. And that's when they say it's a 14-second clip. I'll just run it.
The degree to which various government agencies had effectively had full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew my mind. I was not aware of that.
Would that include people's DMs?
Yes.
So there we have it. So and then that gets into all the shadow banning, the Fed's access to Twitter under the old management, exposed to the Twitter files. Then they bring out the shadow banning. Once had a mission to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. But that didn't happen long, especially after Trump won the election in 2016. They really cracked down. They made up the whole story about the Russian collusion, and then they used that as an excuse to get all these feds and spooks inside these social media companies to target their enemies, which were the American people and the Make America Great crowd. So
the DHS, you think it's about time to defund them?
Absolutely. If they're involved in stuff like that, then they have too much money and too much power, and it's time for them to take a seat. Well, I'm never a huge fan to begin with, but if they're going to, if it's keeping the country safe for national security issues against real terrorists, that's fine. But if it's just, just to spy on everybody and to find out who's who, that's wrong. They have a way to do this. There's a right way and a wrong way. And the more extreme they get, the more fearful they are that the American people are waking up to their corruption. And I think that's part of what they're doing here, and to control news and information.
Well, here we go. Perfect segue. Controlled news and information. Fox News has made a good move settling with Dominion voting systems. Blake, do you agree or disagree? Fox News made a good move settling with Dominion.
I don't know what they're thinking. And again, we discussed this. I don't care either way. Just make make it all transparent so we can all see. Who is this Dominion, and why do they have so much credibility? They never did. Even the left, there was documentary on HBO where people were concerned about how these machines could be used in an election process, and now we hold it like we act like they're the Supreme Court or something. So who put them in charge, and why aren't they fighting this? Why aren't they getting more transparency on the programming, or how they connect to the internet, or how they are accumulating data? There's so many different ways of looking at them and to audit them to make sure that they are functioning correctly and they're not being abused. And rather than fight it, they just kind of, they're just falling over and going to hand over all this money. So I want to show you something real quick. There's an interesting tweet I found about this, which I agree with to an extent. So Susie's writing, and in reference to the Fox Dominion settlement, this sounds about right, saying, what do you think about this? The deep state narrative rigging did a $787 million wealth transfer to another deep state election rigging organization, while also appearing to help boost the legitimacy of current elections about a year and a half before the 2024 election cycle, thus giving all parties invested in the system ammunition to use, and claiming election fraud has been debunked. And it also gives all news
Good
organizations.
Lord, they think that that's going to happen.
Well,
Good
it is.
Lord,
Yeah, they've
that's
just
gonna happen.
legitimized Dominion now. So now they are real because Fox News just, bent over and said, okay, mercy, here you go. We'll settle. They had this massive billion-dollar settlement, which I totally thought was a joke. And, to me, Fox was in on it the whole time anyway by announcing Arizona right away. They were, largely anti-Trump to begin with, too.
Hey, and don't forget, Fox put Chris Matthews out there to go ahead and repeat the Fine People hoax, the one where he tried to omit part of what President Trump was saying to completely intentionally, to defame him during the 2020 election. Yeah, Fox was co-opted well before the 2020 election, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's something to this. Now they're going to make the case that no, there's nothing going on. There's nothing wrong. And so you got this Dominion Voting System CEO John Poulos, calling the historic. Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company. Bullshit. I mean, what was there like? Is there a competitor to Dominion that's was more effective? Where were they going to lose their market share? I mean, if anything, they should just be, they should be gone, and we should be replaced with, paper ballots or whatever, or some transparent system that we can all agree on.
We need to be able to check it. We need to be able to check it instantly. There need to be election officials on both sides that can check it. I pulled up here just the definition of the word dominion: the territory of a sovereign or a government, sovereignty or control. Like, you literally named your company Control.
Yeah, it's all obvious in our face.
Come on.
Right.
We need to be able to have fair and accurate audits. Every 100 votes gets a little cardboard box, very bite size, with enough people to go and double check. Everything's on camera. None of the numbers are off. There's no drop boxes. There's no mail-in votes, stuff like that. Like, that's how people have faith in a system, not because Fox settled out of, what was it, BlackRock giving money to BlackRock, right? Is that's what I'm hearing people say, Blake?
Maybe something like that, or Vanguard or whatever. Yeah,
they're partial investors in both of them. So
yeah,
you just,
but Brian,
left pocket went to the right.
Unfortunately, I have got to run. I am way over my time, but it was
there. He goes, everybody.
Great times. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter.
See you
TV's
next
Blake
week.
Walley.
Yeah, can't do it tomorrow. Sir. Next week. All right, guys. Take care. Peace out.
All right. Peace out. Thank you for joining us, Blake. Yeah, we left one story on the topic. I'm sorry, on the docket today. Blake wanted to discuss body doubles. We got 3 people: Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Fetterman, and Damar Hamlin. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, Fetterman's back, allegedly. See him walking in like he's going to play a pickup game in New Jersey. He's going to go do some squats. I mean, like, look, I like sweatpants as much as the next guy. I love comfortable clothes as much as the next guy. I really do. I love them more than the next guy. In fact, you may see me around in pajamas, if you will. I do like the active sweatpants, those types of things with the zippers, so I can, active wear, so I can exercise, and it's also comfortable. I do enjoy that. No belts, to keep undoing a belt and clankety clank. So there's that. Yeah, Fetterman's back. So, make of that what you will. What do we got here? Going to some comments. Fox would fire an employee for stealing a stapler, not paying $780 million. No effing way. Fired. I think that with my swingline stapler. Yeah, Dreamer Ultra also saying many places. Where's it at? Many places I would have gone and did go 15 years ago are just flat no go for me. Yeah, no go zones. Yeah, check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/The New American Media, and rumble.com/The New American Media. And our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. I did a wide-ranging interview with Anomaly, hip-hop artist, news analyst, and harmonica player. And one of the first questions I got to was just kind of saying, because, he and I had been to like Politicons, we'd been to NAMS, we had been to Conscious Life Expos. We've hung out at a lot of these things. And, I said we used to be California compatriots. I decided to evacuate the state of California. And I think it was the right decision. And he said he evacuated Hollywood. But yeah, he said LA is just a no-go zone for him. I believe that's exactly how he phrased it. It's a no-go zone, and you said the same thing. Flat no-go for you. Yeah, I agree. It's just these cities are dangerous. They're flat out scary, really. I'm trying to find the rest of your comments here. Like I'm watching them on one screen, but they're not showing up in the other. It says Fox. Let's see. Yeah, I'm highly suspicious of this settlement regarding the one with Fox and Dominion. I doubt this actually comes out of the Fox bottom line. I mean, we're going to see. And I do want to kind of look into that, which companies invest in Fox, if we can unscramble those eggs. I know they love shell companies and holding groups and, all those fun little ways to, pull an Ozark. You be a little Jason Bateman there with your Tides Foundation, Mr. George Soros. Oh, you're so clever. We would have never known. It's not like you funded that DA. That organization was a Color for Change funded that. And you funded Color for Change. Oh, wow, we're so dumb. We couldn't see. Oh, how did you get from here to there? It's like trying to trick a Labrador. Where's the food? You're so tricky, says the Labrador. But yeah, you're saying you're highly suspicious of this settlement. You doubt that it actually comes off the bottom line. Dreamer Ultra said Rand Paul seemed to fizzle out in his presidential bid when he said he wanted to stop spending. Yeah, I mean, look, if you stop spending, gravy trains run out. So like maybe there's a way, and that was the thing. Probably my least favorite part about President Trump. He spent just like the other guys, just like the other regimes, and I've been against spending. But when you hire a New York builder, I mean, things are created, including Space Force. Like he created things. He creates stuff. He was trying to complete that wall. And now Biden is intentionally leaving those beams there to rust. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, Dr. Jekyll saying that Rand Paul is a legend. Yeah. We'll see how the rest of it goes with it. I mean, we've seen Gavin Newsom has been going on tour trying to see if he can be the nominee. We've seen Kennedy. You got Kennedy. Kennedy's interesting. Oh, I'd easily take Kennedy over Newsom. I mean, that's not even close. I mean, I don't want a Kennedy in, don't get me wrong, but I think he's somebody on the other side that President Trump could work with. I think they could work. They should work together. That'd be great if they did. I don't know if they would, but I hope they would. No, I couldn't imagine a Kennedy in office again. But then again, I can't see it going any other way than President Trump getting his second term. In those videos like he had today about Agenda 47, brilliant name. He's always been great with branding and marketing. So what I need to check and see is if this is going to be is this going to be a pamphlet, a website, a reoccurring series? Like what does Agenda 47 look like? Because he'll be the 47th president. He'll be 45 and 47. But yeah, Agenda 47. We have got to clean up our cities everywhere, our towns, our cities. It all needs flushed. It all needs cleaned. It all just kind of needs, and there's people that need help. I'm not entirely certain what the legal hang up has been. Some people said it was the not the NC, it was the here's what my brain's doing. I'm flipping index cards. I'm like, no, it's not the NCAA. No, it's not the NAACP. What was the third one I just thought of? That it's not. I can't. the legal organization that files all the lawsuits on behalf of, they say they're for the downtrodden. Oh, I'm having a moment. You guys in the comments, someone tell me what that is. But that's what they say it was, that it was a court ruling, not the AFL-CIO. I'm getting closer. It's like the civil rights organization that files all those lawsuits. Doggone it. Anyway, they say that's what happened. It was sometime during the Reagan administration where the ruling came down and that you couldn't, or that he shut down the funding, or that there was a law that was passed. There was something got up to the state Supreme Court and they said you can't keep somebody for sitting on a street for 6 days in a row. And then on the 7th day, they cross the street and do it all over again. And it's like, we've got to revisit this. This is not helping anybody. So yeah, I love that Agenda 47. If that's chapter 1 in the Agenda 47 program, I approve. We need to get the mentally ill, the physically ill, the indigent, the drug addicted people off of the street. We need to clean the street. We need to prevent this from happening in the future. And we need to give these people some help. We need to have clean, safe facilities where these people can eat, they can sleep, they can use facilities, stay clean. Like, these are the things we're supposed to be spending money on in this country. Damn it. Money laundering, our hard-earned treasure through Ukraine. This is not better than helping our own cities improve by cleaning up the crime. I was reading another study a couple days ago. It said like 87% of this particular type of crime, and I think it was just non-petty crime. So like if you throw away all like the tiny little infractions, the jaywalking and whatnot, and you get up to like actual crime, like 87% of the crime is being committed by the same group of people over and over and over and over and over and over and over. At some point, you lose your privilege. You lose your privilege in society. You don't have the right to keep abusing children, the elderly, first-time parents, high school kids, grad school kids. Nobody. You have no right to abuse the community that you're in. And if you have become a detriment to that society, if you have become a stain and a strain on the community that you're in, that's what incarceration is for. And when it's the same people causing almost all of the problems, you need to do the exact opposite of what's been happening with like Alvin Bragg. You take the insignificant stuff and try to promote it to become significant. You take the significant and you downgrade it and you let these criminals back out on the street to do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And it was happening to me in Los Angeles. It was happening to our neighborhood. It was the same people causing all of the problems. Just a handful of people. Just a handful of people. Everybody knew who it was. Everybody knew who it was. No help from the community. From no help. No help. The elected officials, the district attorneys, the prosecutors, the police chiefs, the special units, nobody helped. And something needs to change if we're going to fix this country, because it's in so many ways, it's a shell of what it used to be. And we can be better than this. We really must be better than this. You know, the good times make, the hard men make good times, and the good times make soft men, and soft men make hard times, and hard times make tough men, and tough men make whatever that cycle is, something like that. Are we emerging from the tough times right now? Have the strong people decided that they're going to have to become the adults in the room and fix some of this stuff? I pray that it is that time. Do I know it to be true with 100% certainty? No. But I am going to live my life as if we are going to be emerging from this nonsense. But people have to be involved, and people have to call things out and push back and, really be crystal clear on what it is we want and what we will accept and what we will not accept as a society. And so just A+ to President Trump for that very focused, very important message about how to clean up American cities and what he's going to do. Everything within his legal realm of possibility, he will participate in. He's gonna do everything and work with everybody that he can to do as much as he can. And I mean, Lord willing, if you can get one person off the streets that you can just kind of like get into a safe, comfortable place for a second, you can get them some food. You can start working with their psychological issues, their drug issues, all of the mental health issues that have led them to end up in this situation. Like, God, if we can save one family, because it's not just for every one person you have there, that's somebody's aunt, that's somebody's uncle, that's somebody's sister, it's somebody's brother. It's somebody's cousin, it's somebody's nephew, it's somebody's grandfather, grandmother, daughter, son. I think you get it. Third cousin, twice removed. Somebody's dentist. Okay, I get it. It could just, it could be anybody. Although I doubt there's too many dentists that end up on the out on the streets. But yeah, I mean, if our nation could heal that open infection, that open wound, because it's a wound, it's an embarrassment, it's disgusting, and it's a complete misallocation of resources to money launder in Ukraine when we have a problem at home that needs attention, when we have train tracks in Ohio that kind of need some attention, we have bridges that need some attention, when we have critical infrastructure at airports and city roads, state highways that need attention. It's criminal. It's immoral. It's demonic to starve those funds and just give it to Zelensky or something, like, for what? As we're poking the bear and getting ever so closer to World War III. Like, remind me who voted for when? And if you're to believe those leaks and that Seymour Hersh information, I mean, we already have troops there. I mean, I guess nobody's surprised by that. No, nobody. In a world of Tom Clancy, where you you just turn it on and watch Jack Ryan. There's covert assets in every place, but of course, when things are getting ratcheted up, of course you have people in those areas. That's not a shocking revelation to anybody, I wouldn't imagine. But still, the point remains: we're playing with fire, and I don't think what we need to be doing is focusing on our problems, and we need to just kind of be secure. We need to be secure in our cities. We need to be safer. I've seen just cities just falling to pieces. The robberies, the attacks, violent attacks, theft, assault, attempted murder. Oh, for the love of God, come on. You got one job, government, one job. Keep those people away. Lock those people up, because the rest of us just want to go about our lives. You got every right to protest, but you don't have the right to block a heart transplant patient from getting to the place in time before the viability passes. Your rights don't supersede others. So you can go protest in that park over there, but you can't do that. There's a lot of that going on, trying to figure out where selfishness and rights and civil liberties come in. And I think I think Americans have every right to expect to be able to walk unmolested through their cities. What's happened with this rampant crime wave and this rampant homelessness and this rampant drug addiction issue? It's really damaged a lot of what we used to cling to as Americans as like core tenets, core beliefs. And so we got to get out of this. And I'm so impressed by this Trump message because like I mentioned to Blake, we had a lot of this going on in the neighborhood, and it was an issue I was very passionate about. I mean, we worked very closely to try to help the situation improve. And yeah, we did. We went to the steps of City Hall and we gave a speech. And I talked specifically about homeless veterans and how the UCLA campus right there that was gifted, or I'm sorry, over at the VA hospital near UCLA, all that land was gifted for veterans. And it's like they leave most of it. It's like big green open yards and spaces. I'm like, no. You put little paths. You build a tiny home community, a tiny home village right here on this property. And until you can drive in along this road and not have to pass somebody in a tent, you got work to do. And that should be your daily reminder. That is exactly what I said on the steps of City Hall in Los Angeles. I mean, all of that land, give them tiny houses, give them a little bit of dignity, give them some mental health care, give them some drug treatments. Help these people help themselves. Get them off the streets. You can't be on the streets. It was just the perfect location and the perfect way to expand your care services. And I said it. It's not like anybody listened, but you got to keep saying it until somebody does something about it. And kudos to President Trump for saying something about it and hoping, really getting the rest of us thinking about it. It's beyond important. So I'm just kind of blown away by this. I just love the Agenda 47 branding. I'm such a big fan. And anyhow, I just wanted to expand upon that topic real quick. So thank you all for watching. YouTube.com/The New American Media, Rumble.com/The New American Media. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. Where else are we? Patreon. Well, actually, we're having a problem with Patreon. They've zapped our page. And it's been an odd conversation trying to get that up and going, but we'll see if we can get that back up and going. Very odd, very interesting over there at Patreon. Can't really, is this a glitch or is this yet another company we're not going to be able to work with and use as a foundational building block here? But aside from that, the podcast world, go to Spotify and search the Agree to Disagree show and check out our content. I'm going to be going back. I'm going to be going back through the archives and posting some of the key interviews over the years. There have been several. There have been a lot of. Actually, you know what? I haven't talked to Larry Elder since he ran for California governor. Like, he had a lot of good ideas to deal with some of these issues, and yeah, that'd be a great follow-up guest on this topic. Yeah, there's a lot of people I want to build out on the podcast format and put that content on there. But in the meantime, you can check it all out. 1,800 videos maybe on YouTube. So there's an archive. If you scroll back, there's a bunch of interesting interviews that we've had over this time together. So yeah, check that out as well. But yeah, I don't know when my next show will be, but you can check them all out after the fact. And yeah, the more NAMM footage. We went to that National Associate, the big music convention in Anaheim. But yeah, we have some content out there, including our wide-ranging interview with Anomaly, the hip-hop artist, news analyst, and harmonica player. So I think it's a pretty fun chat. We go into a lot of topics, and you may really enjoy it. And then we'll do some product reviews, and we stopped and talked to some vendors at the show, and tried to get some, just find the interesting things that stood out to us as we went to yet another music convention. But yeah, I mean, we also do sports, the Unhappy Hours sports show, a support group. There's that, and I'll be doing more content there. But there's also TNAM Grow Something, the New American Media, TNAM. TNAM Grow Something, because it's gardening time. So we need to really make sure we're harvesting water We have water purification and collection systems to make sure that we have food that we're growing at our property. We're on the verge of something really catastrophic if there's, World War III, heaven forbid, a World War III, or some sort of grid disruption, or some sort of internet disruption, or some sort of electrical disruption, or some sort of, natural situation, if you will. It's always good to be prepared. But yeah, we need to be gardening and growing as much food as we can right now. It's smart, it's healthy, it's preparedness. So we have TNAM preparedness as well. Just trying to get your supplies together. But that really does kind of go into grow something and camping and just kind of getting out of your comfort zone and experiencing that. It's always good to test your gear. So yeah, there's a lot that the New American Media is into. We do regularly talk about the news of the day and current events and politics, but we are more than that. But as we grow, we're going to kind of fully round out some of those topics as we go and as the team grows. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons to participate in the universe. I guess I could say also add that you could follow us on Facebook. We have a private group there called what's it called? TNAMS, TNAM''S, TNAMS, the Agree to Disagree Show, and the show is in parentheses. Yeah, so we do have a private group there. And yeah, Blake's right. Like, why would you even mess around with Facebook? It's like, I don't know. It's just easy to use. I've always just kind of liked it compared to all the other social media. I just find the functionality of story sharing and group building just easier. And that's kind of what I like to do. But yeah, we got our private group and they zapped our page for the New American Media during the election season of 2020. And they never gave us a reason, never let us get the page back. And, so that's why I don't really refer people over there, but we do have a core group, and that is where we get a lot of our stories from. Oh yeah, Instagram.com/the New American Media, another crappy Facebook company. But I do kind of like this, as I'm finding the news of the day, I do prefer Instagram these days. I think I get a quicker snapshot of what I believe are the most important stories of the day, kind of sifted through. Just kind of my feed is working for me, just like how Blake, he has his lists on Twitter. So regardless, just connect with us. I think we're on Parler and Truth Social as well. And I don't know, I'm like not really doing anything there, but we exist there. Oh, Telegram. Telegram's like a good backup. Yeah, the New American Media. So one is TNAM Chat, and then one is TNAM Official. Let me click on this. Let me see. TNAM Chat and TNAM Official. Okay, so it's TNAM Chat and TNAM, TNAM, and then TNAM Chat. Those are the ones. So yes, please follow us in all of those places. And until next we speak, I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.